The small planet Nuria hung quietly in the dark stretch of space. Dusty winds blew over its rocky lands, and the sun cast a soft glow through a thin, fragile atmosphere. Life on Nuria was not easy. Most people lived in small towns and villages, working hard every day just to have enough food and clean water. Among the many children in one of those villages was a young girl named Mina. Mina was curious and bright, with big brown eyes that seemed to look at the world with hope, even though her life was full of challenges. She lived with her family in a small house made from metal scraps and stones. The roof leaked when it rained, and food was always scarce. But Mina had a dream. She wanted to see the stars up close, not just from the dusty fields of Nuria. One day, something unexpected happened. A message arrived from Earth, sent by one of the richest people in the solar system, a man named Jory. He was famous for his wealth and the grand space station he had built in orbit around Nuria. This station was like a shining jewel in the sky, filled with the best technology and luxury. But very few people from Nuria ever saw it. The message said that a few children from Nuria would be chosen to visit the station for a special event. They would meet Jory and others from the space community. It was a rare chance, a chance to leave the planet's dusty surface and see the world beyond. Mina's heart raced when she heard. She was chosen. She packed her small bag with the few clothes she had, and her mother hugged her tightly. "Be careful, Mina," her mother said softly. "Remember who you are." Mina nodded. She felt nervous but also very proud. She was going to the stars. The shuttle that would take Mina to the station was waiting at the small spaceport. It was sleek and shiny, very different from the old trucks and wagons Mina was used to seeing. When she stepped inside, the walls lit up softly, and the seats felt soft under her. She had never been in a place so clean and smooth. As the shuttle lifted off, Mina looked out the window. The dusty fields of Nuria grew smaller and smaller. The blue sky turned into black space filled with stars. She pressed her hand to the glass and whispered, "Hello, stars." Meanwhile, aboard the space station, Jory stood by a large window. He watched the shuttle arrive. To him, this event was just another public show, a way to show people on Nuria that he cared. But in truth, Jory kept to himself. He spent most days alone, working on his projects and thinking about new ways to explore space. He was a tall man with silver hair and serious eyes. Many called him cold because he never smiled. He had everything money could buy, but he felt something was missing. He didn't know what it was yet. When Mina arrived, the station's grand hall was full of bright lights, soft music, and smells of delicious food. People from many planets wore shining clothes and talked loudly about their adventures. Mina felt small and out of place. Her simple dress and dusty boots made her feel invisible. She held a small plate but didn't know what to eat first. She looked around and saw groups of children laughing and running, but no one invited her to join. She stood alone near a big table filled with food, fruits that glowed softly, bread from far planets, sweet drinks in shining glasses. It was too much for Mina. Back home, food was something to be shared carefully, and eating alone was normal. Jory noticed the girl standing alone. He watched her carefully. She did not cry or run away. She looked at the food quietly, almost as if she was studying it. After a moment, Jory walked over. The crowd moved aside, curious about the famous billionaire's interest in a simple girl from the colony. Jory spoke softly. "Would you like to eat with me?" Mina looked up. Her eyes were wide but calm. She nodded. Together, they sat at a small table away from the noise. Mina began to eat slowly, tasting the food carefully. She was amazed at how many different flavors there were. She didn't talk much, but Jory could see she was happy. After a few minutes, Jory asked, "Where do you come from?" Mina smiled softly. "From the ground. The village of Tila. It is far and dusty." "Is life hard there?" Jory asked. Mina nodded. Yes, but people are kind. We share what little we have. Jory looked at her and felt a strange feeling in his chest. He had never thought about people like Mina before. He had always been busy with his projects, money, and fame. The event went on around them, but for Jory and Mina, the world outside the table disappeared. The girl's quiet strength and honest words touched him deeply. In the silence between bites and soft smiles, something new began inside Jory's heart. Maybe there was more to life than wealth and power. Maybe, just maybe, this small girl held the key to a better future. The stars outside the window shone brightly, and Mina looked at them with hope. She did not know what the future held, but for the first time, she felt like she belonged somewhere beyond her dusty home. And Jory, the billionaire in his lonely tower, felt the walls around his heart begin to crack. The grand hall of Jory's space station was like a shining palace floating among the stars. Soft lights glowed from the walls, and everywhere there were tables covered with foods from many different planets. Some foods sparkled with colors that Mina had never seen before. Others smelled sweet, spicy, or fresh like the fruit in her village, but even better. Mina stood near the long buffet table, holding a small plate carefully in her hands. She moved slowly, looking at everything, but not sure what to choose first. There were strange fruits that glowed in soft blue and purple light, loaves of bread shaped like stars, and small cakes topped with tiny crystals that twinkled. All around her, children laughed and shouted. They were dressed in bright clothes, wearing badges that showed their family names or places they had visited. They moved quickly, grabbing food and filling their plates until they were almost too full. But Mina did not rush. She looked quietly at the foods as if she was learning something new about them. She thought about the meals she ate back home, plain, simple, and often shared with family. The other children noticed Mina standing alone. Some whispered to each other. One boy with bright green eyes looked at her and sneered. "Why is she here? She doesn't belong." Mina heard the words but did not answer. She kept her eyes on the food and took a small piece of soft bread shaped like a star. She bit into it slowly. The bread was warm and sweet. It melted in her mouth like nothing she had ever tasted. But even with all the rich food, Mina did not smile loudly or shout with joy. She was calm, thoughtful, and patient. At the far side of the hall, Jory watched. He had left the crowd around him to find this quiet girl who seemed different from the others. He wondered what she was thinking. Jory was a man who had seen many things in his life. He had built this station with his money and had traveled to many stars. But here, seeing the world from Mina's eyes, he felt something he could not explain. He walked slowly toward the buffet table, stopping beside Mina. She looked up and met his gaze with steady eyes. "Would you like to eat with me?" Jory asked quietly. Mina blinked, surprised. She looked around at the other children and then back at Jory. She nodded. Jory led her to a small table near a window. From there, they could see the planet below, a wide blue and green ball spinning slowly in space. Mina sat down and placed her plate on the table. Jory sat across from her, watching her carefully. "Where exactly are you from?" he asked. "The village of Tila," Mina replied softly. "It is small. Many families live there." Jory nodded. "What is life like there?" Mina thought for a moment. "Life is hard. Food is not always easy to find. We eat slowly, so everyone gets a chance. Sometimes, we eat in silence. It is a quiet way." Jory's eyes softened. "I have never heard that before." Mina smiled faintly. "It is not a story. It is life." As they ate, Mina told Jory about her village. About the dusty fields where children played, the small markets where people traded seeds and clothes, and the nights when families gathered under the stars to tell stories. Jory listened closely. He did not interrupt or ask questions that might seem rude. He simply listened. He realized that Mina's world was very different from his own. She lived with less but shared more. Nearby, hidden in the shadows, an alien observer named Zell watched silently. Zell was from a species called the Council of Empathy, who studied other worlds to learn about different ways of life. Zell had come to watch humans for many years. Many in the council believed humans were selfish and violent, too proud to care for others. But Zell saw something new in Mina and Jory's meeting, a kindness that was rare in the galaxy. Zell smiled inside, knowing this moment might change everything. Back at the table, Mina noticed that Jory looked tired. She asked, "Are you happy, sir?" Jory was surprised by the question. I do not know." Mina said softly, "Sometimes, when you have much, you forget what is important." Jory thought about his life, the long hours alone, the machines he built, the money he counted. What was important? He did not know anymore. Around them, the party continued. Music played softly, and people danced or talked about faraway worlds. But for Mina and Jory, the noisy room felt far away, like it belonged to another world. Mina picked up a small, glowing fruit and took a bite. She closed her eyes, tasting something new. "Do you like it?" Jory asked. "Yes," Mina said simply. "But it is not better than home." Jory smiled for the first time that evening. "What makes home better?" Mina looked out the window. "Because we eat together. Because even when food is little, we are not alone." Jory was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, "I think I have much to learn from you, Mina." She smiled. "And I am happy to share." The shuttle that brought Mina would return soon, and the event was ending. But Mina and Jory stayed at the table, talking quietly. Jory asked, "Will you come back one day?" Mina nodded. "If I can." As the lights in the hall dimmed, Mina felt a warmth in her heart. The stars outside the window shone brightly, promising new beginnings. Jory watched her and thought, maybe this small girl, who asked a simple question, had started something important. The party aboard the space station slowly began to quiet down. The bright lights dimmed, and many guests left, floating back to their own worlds or private rooms. But Mina and Jory remained seated by the large window, looking down at the blue and green planet spinning silently below. Mina's eyes were full of wonder, but also a quiet sadness. Jory, watching her, felt a heavy weight settle inside him, something he had not felt for many years. "What do you miss most about your home, Mina?" Jory asked softly. Mina thought carefully before answering. "I miss my family. I miss the sound of my mother's voice in the morning. I miss the simple meals we share, even if they are small." Jory nodded. He thought about his own life, years spent in quiet luxury, surrounded by machines and wealth, but very little warmth. "You have a strong heart," Jory said. "You do not complain, even when life is hard." Mina smiled faintly. "I do not have time for complaints. There is too much to do. But sometimes, I wonder if things will get better." Jory looked away, feeling a strange pain. He had built this station to explore the stars, to reach for greatness. But he never thought about those living on the surface below, struggling to survive. That night, after the guests had gone, Jory walked alone through the empty corridors of the station. The silence was deep, broken only by the soft hum of machines. He found himself in the observation deck, where the stars shone brighter than anywhere else. He looked out, searching for answers. Memories from his childhood came to him, days when he had been a poor boy on Earth, dreaming of space but never imagining he would reach it. He had worked hard, and his wealth grew, but he had lost something important along the way. Jory's thoughts turned to Mina. Her quiet strength, her hope, and the simple question she had asked him, "Can I eat with you?" Those words echoed in his mind like a soft voice calling him back to what mattered. The next morning, Jory woke early. The station was still calm, with only a few crew members moving quietly. He sat at his desk, staring at plans and reports on his screen. But his mind was elsewhere. Suddenly, an idea came to him, something simple but powerful. What if the station's resources were not only for the rich and powerful but could help those on Nuria? What if he could build farms on the planet's surface, so people like Mina's village could have more food and better lives? Jory realized this was the first time in a long time that he had truly cared. Meanwhile, back in her village of Tila, Mina was waking up early, helping her mother prepare a small breakfast. Her thoughts drifted to the night before the station, the stars, and Jory's kindness. She knew her life would not change overnight, but she felt hope for the first time in years. That day, Jory called his closest advisors. He spoke with new energy and purpose. "We must use this station for more than show," he said. "We have technology, resources, and knowledge that can help people on Nuria. It's time to act." His advisors looked surprised. Some were doubtful, but Jory's mind was clear. He ordered the design of large gravity farms, places where plants could grow under artificial light and clean air. He promised to send more supplies to the colonies and to create scholarships for more children like Mina. As days passed, Jory and Mina stayed in contact through messages. He asked her about her village, the people, and what they needed most. She told him stories about the children, the elders, and the hard work everyone did. Jory read every message carefully. He felt connected to a world he had never truly seen before. One evening, while working late, Jory received a strange message from an unknown source. The sender called themselves Zell, an observer from a distant alien council. Zell's message was simple but clear: "We have watched your kind for many years. Some believe you are too proud, too selfish to join the greater galaxy. But your choice to listen and care shows hope. Keep moving forward." Jory was surprised but also inspired. He realized that humanity's greatest strength was not in power or technology, but in empathy. Mina received her own message from Jory: "You have changed my life. Thank you for sharing your heart." She smiled, holding the message close. She had not only eaten with a billionaire, she had touched his soul. Days later, Jory invited Mina back to the station. This time, not as a guest, but as a partner in a new mission to help build a better future for all on Nuria. When Mina arrived, she saw the first signs of change: workers building farms, engineers preparing supplies, and children from many villages learning and laughing together. Jory met her at the dock and said, "Together, we will make sure no one has to eat alone again." Mina's eyes shone with hope and pride. The stars outside the station sparkled brighter than ever. And somewhere in the quiet space between them, a billionaire's heart was no longer broken but full of promise. The first light of the artificial sun filled the greenhouse inside the space station. Rows of plants grew tall and green, leaves shining with drops of water under soft lights. This was Jory's new project, gravity farms designed to help feed the people of Nuria, starting with villages like Mina's. Mina walked carefully between the plants. Her eyes widened with wonder. She had never seen so many healthy plants growing in one place. It was different from the dry fields of her village, but it felt like hope. Jory followed her quietly. The work was just beginning, but already there was a feeling of purpose inside the station that had not been there before. As they walked, Mina said, "Back home, we have little water. We have to save every drop." Jory nodded. "That is why we made these farms closed, so no water is lost. We want to make sure no one on Nuria goes hungry." Mina smiled softly. "That will help many families. You are doing something good." Jory looked at her and felt the warmth of her words. "You remind me why I wanted to build this station. Not for myself, but for all of us." Later, in the small dining area of the station, Mina and Jory sat down to share a simple meal together. The table was filled with food from the station's farms: fresh vegetables, soft bread, and clear water. It was not as fancy as the buffet from the event, but it was enough. And it was shared. Mina took a piece of bread and broke it in half. In my village, we do this before every meal. It means we share what we have. Jory followed her lead and broke his bread. They ate quietly for a moment. Mina looked at Jory and asked, "Do you remember the question I asked you the first time we met?" Jory smiled. "Yes. You asked, 'Can I eat with you?' That question was important," Mina said. "Because it means we are not alone. Even when things are hard, we can share." Jory nodded. "I have thought about those words every day since." As they talked, the station's intercom announced a new shipment arriving from Nuria. It was the first of many supplies: food, tools, medicine sent to the villages below. Mina's eyes shone. This will help so many people. Jory stood and said, "It is only the beginning. We will build more farms and send more help." That evening, Mina walked to the observation deck. She looked out at the stars, feeling the quiet strength of the universe. Jory joined her, standing beside her in silence. Together, they watched the planet below, a small world full of people waiting for change. Mina turned to Jory. "Thank you for listening. For caring." Jory smiled softly. "Thank you for reminding me what is important." As days passed, news of the farms spread across Nuria. Villages sent messages of thanks, and children like Mina dreamed of a future where no one went hungry. Jory continued to work, no longer alone but with a team who believed in the same hope. And Mina, once a quiet girl from a dusty village, became a symbol of change, a bridge between the stars and the earth. The universe was vast, but for the first time, it felt a little smaller, closer, warmer, and full of promise. Weeks passed, and the space station's new farms were growing strong. Fresh food supplies were sent down to Nuria's villages every day. Children who once went hungry began to smile, and families found hope in the future. Jory watched these changes with pride, but he knew that the real test was yet to come. He wanted Mina to see her home with new eyes, to feel the changes they were making together. One morning, Jory made a decision. "Mina," he said, "it is time for you to show me your village." Mina's eyes lit up with surprise and joy. "You want to come to Tila?" "Yes," Jory replied. "I want to see where you live, to meet your people, and to understand better." The shuttle from the station descended slowly through Nuria's dusty atmosphere. Mina sat beside Jory, her heart beating fast. She was proud but also nervous. Jory looked out the window, seeing the dry fields and simple houses scattered across the land. It was not the clean, shiny world of the station. It was real. When the shuttle landed, children from the village gathered around, their eyes wide with curiosity. Many had heard of Jory, the billionaire from the stars, but few had ever met him. Mina's mother stood nearby, smiling warmly. "Welcome, sir," she said softly. Jory bowed his head respectfully. "Thank you. I am honored to be here." The village was alive with quiet energy. People worked in the fields, women carried water from the well, and children played near small homes made of stone and wood. Mina led Jory through the village, pointing out places that were important to her: the school, the market, the small garden where her family grew vegetables. "It is not much," Mina said, "but it is home." Jory nodded. He saw the hard work in every face and the strength in every step. That evening, Mina invited Jory to join her family for dinner. The table was simple: a small pot of stew, bread, and fresh water. Mina's mother served the food with care. Jory sat quietly, watching as the family shared their meal. "This is the meal I dreamed of sharing with you," Mina said softly. Jory smiled and took a piece of bread. "I am honored." As they ate, Jory noticed how different the food tasted. It was simple, but full of love and care. He remembered Mina's words about sharing and belonging. After dinner, Jory spoke. Mina, your village has given me a gift, a new understanding. Mina looked at him curiously. What do you mean? Money and technology are important, Jory said, but so is heart. The way your family shares this meal, the way your village works together, that is what makes life rich. Mina smiled brightly. I am glad you see it. The next day, Jory walked with the villagers to the new farm site near the village. It was a place where the station's technology met the earth. Workers were setting up equipment to grow plants in a clean, safe environment. The villagers watched with hope and excitement. Jory spoke to the group. This farm will help your village and many others. It will provide food, clean water, and jobs. A man from the village stepped forward. We thank you, sir. This will change our lives. Jory nodded. Together, we will make sure no one goes hungry again. As the sun set over the village, Mina and Jory stood on a small hill, looking out at the land. Mina said softly, I never thought the stars would come to us. Jory smiled. And I never thought I would find my heart here. They both knew this was only the beginning, a start of a new story for Nuria and for themselves. The stars above shone quietly, watching over a small planet where hope was growing, one meal, one farm, and one heart at a time. The new farm near Mina's village was growing well. Tall green plants swayed gently under the warm sun, and small fruits began to appear on the branches. The village was filled with excitement and hope. But change was not always easy. Some villagers were nervous about the new technology and the stranger from the stars. They whispered among themselves, worried that the space station and Jory's plans might bring problems they could not see. One morning, as Mina walked through the village, she heard a group of elders talking. This technology is strange, one said. We don't know if we can trust it. Another nodded. What if it changes our way of life? What if it brings harm instead of help? Mina felt a chill. She knew their fears were real. Change was difficult, and trust had to be earned. That evening, Mina sat with her mother by the small fire outside their home. Mother, some people are afraid of the new farm, Mina said quietly. Her mother looked at her kindly. Fear is natural. But they must see that this is for all of us, not just for the rich or powerful. Mina nodded. I want to help them understand. Meanwhile, Jory was busy on the space station, receiving messages from the village. He read the concerns carefully and thought deeply. He knew that giving food and technology was not enough. He had to earn their trust, to show that he cared for their lives and culture. He sent a message to Mina, trust is built slowly. Tell the village I want to meet them, to listen and learn. Mina shared the message with the elders. After long talks and many questions, they agreed to meet Jory. The day of the meeting arrived. Jory traveled to the village again, this time not as a visitor, but as someone willing to listen. The villagers gathered in the small square. Faces showed hope, curiosity, and caution. Jory spoke softly. I do not want to change your lives. I want to help you keep what is important and make it better. Your stories, your work, your families, they matter. He told them about his own childhood, about growing up without much, and how he learned that kindness and sharing were more valuable than gold. The villagers listened. Some nodded, others remained quiet. Mina stepped forward. I know it is hard to trust. But I have seen Jory's heart. He is not just a man of money. He is a man who cares. She shared her story, how she came to the station, how she and Jory had talked about hope and sharing meals. Her words touched many hearts. After the meeting, the elders spoke among themselves. Slowly, their faces softened. They realized that this was not a threat, but an opportunity. One elder said, we will watch and wait. But we will open our hearts. Jory stayed in the village for a few days, working alongside the people. He helped build new homes, taught children about the stars, and learned about the village's traditions. Mina watched as the walls between worlds began to break down, replaced by friendship and respect. One night, under the clear sky filled with stars, Jory and Mina sat together by the fire. "Do you think they will trust us?" Mina asked. Jory smiled gently. "Trust is like a seed. It takes time to grow, but with care, it will bloom." Mina looked up at the stars and felt a peace she had never known before. The days turned into weeks. The farm flourished, and the village began to change slowly but surely. Children played more, families shared more, and hope grew stronger. Jory and Mina knew that their journey was far from over, but they were ready to face the future together. And somewhere among the stars, the universe smiled at a small world learning to trust, share, and dream. The sun rose over the village of Tila, painting the sky with soft colors of orange and pink. The air was fresh with the scent of growing plants from the new farm. Birds sang softly, and the village was alive with the sound of children playing and adults working together. Mina stood near the edge of the farm, watching the young green shoots reach toward the sky. Her heart was full of hope, pride, and quiet happiness. This was not just a farm, it was a promise of a better future. Jory stood beside her, his eyes reflecting the soft morning light. He looked around at the village, at the people who had once been strangers to him but now felt like family. "Look at what you've helped build," Mina said softly. Jory smiled. "No, Mina. You helped build this. Your courage, your kindness, brought us all together." Mina shook her head gently. "It was the question I asked you, can I eat with you?" That moment changed everything. Jory nodded. "Yes. Because sharing a meal is sharing more than food. It is sharing trust, respect, and hope." The villagers gathered that day in the village square. There was a feeling of celebration in the air. Men, women, and children came together to mark a new chapter in their lives. The elders spoke, thanking Jory for his help and the people for their hard work. They told stories of the past and dreams for the future. Mina stood proudly among them, knowing she had helped bring this moment to life. Later, Jory and Mina walked to the edge of the village, where the stars could be seen clearly in the dark sky. Jory said, "I never thought I would find this a place where my heart feels at home." Mina smiled. "The stars are always with us, but now we are not alone under them." They stood in silence for a while, feeling the connection between their worlds. Back on the space station, news of the success in Tila spread quickly. Other villages wanted the same help. Jory and his team worked harder, sending more supplies and building more farms. Mina became a teacher and leader in her village. She traveled between the villages, sharing knowledge, hope, and kindness. The simple question, "Can I eat with you?" had grown into a movement of sharing and caring across the planet. One evening, Mina received a message from Jory. "Tonight, there will be a celebration on the station. I want you to come and see how far we have come." Mina accepted the invitation with joy. At the celebration, Mina stood among new friends from many worlds. The space station was alive with music, laughter, and stories. Jory took her hand gently and said, "This is only the beginning. Together, we will build a future where no one feels alone." Mina looked around at the faces shining with hope and smiled. As the music played and stars sparkled outside the windows, Mina realized that a simple question had changed her life and the lives of many others. She whispered softly, "Yes, I will eat with you. And together, we will share the stars." The universe was vast and full of mysteries, but for Mina and Jory, it was a place of friendship, hope, and new beginnings. And in that moment, under the endless sky, the future shone bright.